Welcome back to another edition of Recruiting Thursday right here on the Westmoreland Sports Network. Jack Ridenour here with you, and today we are joined by current Penn-Trafford girls basketball player and Gannon University women's basketball commit, Olivia Pepple. Olivia, first off, thanks so much for joining us today. Congratulations on the recent commitment. I'm sure a very exciting thing for you and your family. How does it feel to have this decision finally made?
It feels relieving, so relieving. I'm glad to be committed and glad to be done with the recruiting process.
Well, it's funny you mentioned the word relieving because I've heard many people kind of use that similar word to describe it. What was the whole recruiting process like for you from start to finish?
It was stressful at times. It was fun. I enjoyed it, but not knowing where you're gonna end up, where you're gonna be, like you have to decide what you want to major in and all those things, and it was stressful, but I'm glad it's over.
Well, what was it about the Gannon program, the school, and just overall about the university that drew you there that, led you to wanting to commit there?
I just loved it. I mean, the best way that I can describe it is every other place that I visited felt like a house that you would look at but you wouldn't live in. But Gannon felt like a house that I would live in and that I want to live in, and that's why I decided to commit there.
Well, that's a really good way of describing it. I mean, I say this all the time. You want to pick a place where you're going to be, having that feeling of being at home like you described for 4 years, because it's 4 years of your life, and once you're going through that, you don't realize how important it is to find a place that you feel very comfortable in. But I know that you had a lot of other interests from other schools, and you were also getting recruited by many universities. What were some of those schools that you were interested in and were also interested in you?
I was getting interest from Fairfield University, Presbyterian College, also smaller schools like Rochester, University of Rochester, um, schools like that.
Well, I think it's great that, again, kind of having to go through all of those offers, all of the college coaches and text messages, emails, so on and so forth, and finally finding where you want to go. It's a great feeling and a great
Yes.
accomplishment. But in terms of when you started to think about playing basketball in college and kind of figuring out when do I want to commit and when do I not want to commit, had you always wanted to commit before your senior year, or was that something that you kind of just it kind of happened?
It kind of just happened. I didn't really have a timeline set for myself, but it just felt right. And then that's just how it ended up happening overall.
When did you start first playing basketball? I mean, when did you start getting into hoops?
Um, Very young. I think maybe first grade or maybe even younger. My mom used to coach my brother and sister, which are older than me. And so I would like sit in the corner and I dribble basketball while they practiced. And then ever since then, I loved it and I just have kept playing.
Well, with that being said, how much is having, older siblings, that are stronger, bigger, faster than you, how much do you think that's helped you in your basketball career now?
Oh, definitely a lot. My brother and I have played a lot of pickup games in the driveway, lots of tears, blood. He would push me around, and I think that's why I can handle situations well today is because of him.
Well, when during your basketball career did you start to think about playing collegiately? I mean, when did that idea kind of get birthed in your head?
It's always been a dream of mine since probably elementary school, but I never knew how real it could be for me until recently.
Well, I think again, that's another aspect, kind of that maybe aha or that epiphany, if you will, knowing that, hey, you know what, I can do this. It's not out of the realm of possibility. That also, I think, is another great kind of feeling when you come to that realization. But I know that there's a lot of wonderful things about basketball. I'm a former player myself, so I know all the wonderful things about hoops. But for
Yeah.
you, what is it about the game, about the sport that you've always loved and you feel constantly is pulling you back in?
I just love the adrenaline I get when I play, making big plays or making big stops, whatever it may be. I just love that feeling and the adrenaline I can get from my teammates as well.
Well, I know that you guys had a really big year last year, and I want to get into last season because it was an interesting season with how young the team was, but you guys played, I would say, so much further ahead than you guys are in terms of age. So,
Yeah.
where do you feel were the biggest takeaways from your team last year, and where did you guys kind of sit down and say, you know what, we did these five things really well, and then we did these few things not so well?
Yeah, we definitely had our strengths and our weaknesses. Consistency was starting to be like a factor for us that we had to work on. I mean, we made a pretty good run and we were young, like you said, but we definitely had things to work on, such as like attitude and unforced turnovers, things like that. But we definitely got better, and I think that showed towards the end of the season.
Well, kind of building off of that, where do you feel your team grew the most? I'm sure, from the first few practices, probably things are very chaotic, but then as the season goes on, and like you said, a really deep run into the state playoffs, I'm sure that kind of built up so much confidence for you guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in the beginning, we didn't really play together. We didn't really click yet. But then as the season went on, we found that and we were able to click together and work together better. And I think that really helped us.
Well, I know that for you being a junior on the team last year, obviously, I'm sure you kind of are asked or maybe looked at as being a leader a little bit more than you had been in previous seasons. So where do you feel your leadership skills grew, and where do you feel you tried to maybe help younger players out to help them through the chaos of varsity basketball?
Mm-hmm. I think since last year, I became more vocal. I think the others look to me in my work ethic, and I hope I can continue to lead them through this year too, and hopefully make an even better run. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I mean, you guys really had a great season, if I'm not mistaken, 19-10 overall, so a really, really solid year across the board. But with that all being said, with like you mentioned, the upcoming season, really, I mean, a few months away if you think about it. What's kind of been the last maybe 2 or 3 weeks for you and your team? I mean, have you guys been doing anything summer-wise? And then what does kind of the fall look like for you preseason-wise?
So we've been doing a lot of shooting recently. Our shooting percentages weren't great last year, and that's something we need to improve on. Like if we can shoot better, it expands the court and it makes other things easier for us. So that's what we're really focusing on right now, getting good shooters, high percentages. And I think that's what we're going to continue going into in the fall, as well as getting in shape and conditioning and all that.
Well, what do you think this team is capable of accomplishing? I mean, I would say that, and again, I might be just speaking for myself here, but you guys probably exceeded some of your own expectations last year. So, really the sky's the limit, so to speak, for you guys. Where do you feel your expectations are going to be for this year's team?
We definitely want to see a pretty strong playoff run. Last year was the first time we made it past the first round. This time we're looking to go past the second round. I mean, my teammates and I always talk about it. We want to play at the Pete so bad, and it's going to take a lot of hard work to get there. But I know my teammates and I know what we can do.
I'm sure that was a very exciting run for you guys. I would love to hear a little bit more about that, just especially with how the WPIAL playoffs went for you guys, and then you bounced back in the state playoffs and really put together a nice run. What was it in between, those two playoffs that you feel kind of changed?
I just think that there was a new hope that was sparked within us, like a new fire. We knew that we could do it and we wanted to, and we had seen what the past was like for past teams. Like they got knocked off first round, and we wanted to break that stigma, and we finally did, and we were just so happy to do that.
Well, I know that you guys have a lot of exciting things ahead, and obviously another big season for you being a senior. But before we get you out of here, Olivia, I would love to hear, just with that being your final year of high school, what are you most excited for? What are you most looking forward to? And it doesn't have to be basketball. It could be anything. It could be school, friends, whatever. What are you most excited for your senior year?
Of course, I'm super excited for basketball season. I'm super excited to make a run and make some more memories with my teammates. But overall, just enjoy it and be with my friends, finish high school and just have a good time.
Well, we are all very, very excited to see you and the Penn-Trafford girls basketball team hit the hardwood this upcoming season. Thanks so much for stopping by. And again, congratulations on the commitment.
Thank you so much.
That's Gannon University women's basketball commit Olivia Pepple. Thanks as always for joining us for another Recruiting Thursday edition, and be sure to be on the lookout for our next one coming up here in a few weeks. Until then, it's not a goodbye, just to see you later right here on the Westmoreland Sports Network.